Yes, I think we start now. So hi everybody and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Malin Bodolla and I head of marketing here at Litium. And this webinar is one in a series that we're doing to inspire and give tips and tricks to companies about digital commerce. And today I have Robin Slots with me from our partner Columbus and also Mattias Schlyter from Klevu. And they will speak more in just a moment. And they are really experts in the field. And today we're going to talk about how you can enhance your customer journey from a search and product discovery perspective. And this is going to be really exciting, and we really look forward to hear more about it. But first, some practicalities. I will soon hand over to Robin and Mattias, and they will talk for approximately 20-25 minutes. And you can also, we have time in the end for some questions. So if you have questions, you can write them in the webinar panel under questions, and we will talk about those questions in the end. So don't miss that opportunity to actually ask all the questions you have. And also, we will record this and send out the presentation tomorrow. Together with the, both the recording and the presentation. So if you want to share it with someone, you can easily do that, or you can watch it again if you want to. So Mattias, could you, or Robin, can you please give me the next slide? And I think today there is a lot of returning visitors, listeners. So I think many of you know what Litium do, but we have a couple of new people as well. So just very short, what is Litium and what do we do? So Litium is a tech company. And we have a platform for digital commerce. And what we say is that we built our platform to help customers to get speed, but also flexibility. You can build exactly what you want, and we have focus on growth. And we are based in the Nordics or in Scandinavia, but our customers sell all over the world, so designed for the world, as we say. Next slide, please. And here you can just see some examples of customers. So we have everything from pure B2B customers to pure B2C customers and everything in between. So that's it about Litium for today. Let's talk about conversions instead. And with that, I will hand over to Robin and Mattias.
Thank you, Malin. Thank you very much. Really glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We will just quickly introduce ourselves and then get cracking. So my name is Robin, and I've been working with e-commerce and digital for the past 12 years, both on the client side and as a consultant.
Yeah, and Mattias Schlyter, been in the e-commerce industry for the last 6 years. The first 2 actually at Columbus, and the last 4 at Klevu, where I've been helping out, helping companies improve their product discovery experience on their e-com stores, and much with the help of the Klevu solutions, of course.
Mm-hmm. And we will get going with the presentation, and we will pop ourselves out of view, so let you focus on the content. So hopefully that's underway. Here, are we still good?
I think we pressed the wrong button, so just a confirmation that everything looks as it should. That would be great.
Yep.
Perfect. Good stuff. Perfect. And to kick off today's topic, we can see that both shoppers and companies demand more when it comes to customer experience. People use more devices, they move between offline and online, and has high demands on getting a coherent and personalized experience regardless of touchpoints. And more companies also is starting to use AI to help automate and become more efficient in their daily tasks, but also try and to be more relevant for shoppers. Instead of manually merchandise their e-commerce websites, we also see that trends on how to merchandise and make it personalized for each visitor is becoming more and more tricky. So this is a complex matter, and it's also hard to fight this constant struggle of keeping your e-commerce solution coherent. And let's be clear about one thing. You have hundreds or even thousands of visitors on your e-commerce solution every day. How many of those actually convert on average? If it's within retail, maybe 2-3% is doing a direct conversion. What about the rest? We find out that 30 to 60% of your shoppers will abandon the site or bounce if they can't find what they're looking for, even if you have it. And loads more visitors could convert, but they hit dead ends. They have frustrating experiences and aren't seeing what they want to see. So remember, because you have worked so hard in getting all the people to your website, you have been, especially for the paid traffic, customer acquisition we see is going up every year. And if we put out in this context instead, that every visitor that hits a dead end is looking for inspiration on your website and can't find it and thinks you don't have the product that you actually do have, they will not come back, because one negative experience, as we all know, tend to stick with the customers.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree on that. You know, we see the same things almost every day when we are talking to merchants. And a good and quite often actually surprisingly easy way to improve the customer experience, and by so doing get more out of the shoppers that come onto your website, is to actually work on the product discovery experience.
And just really quickly, can you explain what product discovery is?
Yeah, no, that's probably a good idea. It's not 100% clear for everyone, I think. So the best explanation I would give is that product discovery is about the process where customers, or let's say potential customers, explore and find products on an e-commerce store. And this is obviously something that basically all stores need to handle. And the tricky part is to make this process and experience as relevant and seamless as possible. It's all about ensuring that the customers find what they're looking for or get presented the most relevant products at the right time. Usually quite tricky to do. And if you manage to do this well, you will for sure improve things like the customer experience. And as a result of that, you will see an uplift in conversion rate, average order values, customer lifetime value, just to name a few.
And today we will explore the different steps of the customer journey, as you said, from a product discovery perspective. And we will have some tips and tricks how you can increase your conversion and average order value. And we will go through the following areas of the customer journey. So we will talk about the header navigation, the homepage, how you search, filter for products throughout the full solution, all the way to the checkout.
Yeah, and one thing that we were thinking about was who this content should be for, and we just conclude that, you know, whether you're just starting out your e-commerce journey, or if you have an established online store, you know, you're a big player, been in the industry for a time, we hope that everyone can that we can expose some of these areas on your website that may be causing your customers friction, and give you some actionable advice for improvement. And one thing that we would like you to do, if you can, is to open up your own website if you're a merchant, follow along with us and make notes about where you can make improvements. Yeah, many of the tips that we will be sharing today are actually fairly low-hanging fruits. Some of them are a little bit more advanced to achieve, but in the return can be quite heavily. It can be really significant, even for the low-hanging fruit ones. So yeah, let's get started.
So let's hope you like it.
So okay, if we start off with the navigation, so basically the header. One key part there that is just so often. Oh, sorry, I'm at the wrong slide. Or am I?
No.
Exactly. You know, one thing that is very often just overlooked in the header is the on-site search. So it's just often underperforming in the sense that you don't get the results that you want when you're searching for different reasons. It may not be showing relevant information. But the first question to answer is about search. Is it important? Is it important that it's working really, really well? And I think most of us already know that it is. We know this based on experience, but also the data from big companies like Forrester, as you can see here, back that up as well. And I would also suggest that if you're a merchant and you have Google Analytics, which I hope you do, go in there, go to behavior and search, and see how the conversion rate differs from when people are using the search and not using the search. I'm pretty sure you will see a pretty big difference between the two. Now, going through these numbers, so Forrester, they found that basically 43% of shoppers who know what they want when they go to a website, 43% of them want to go directly to the search box to find the product that they're after. And they take this route instead of going through categories where they need to often, scroll down, filter down, and hopefully find what they're looking for. Instead, they try to find it via the search bar. And as you said, Robin, well, normally how many use search on a website? Like 5, 10, 15, if you're lucky, 20%. But that this many, 43%, are using the search when they know what they want, it's pretty cool stat. And they also found that 68% of shoppers that have a bad search experience, they search for something and for some reason they don't get the product that they want to, they churn. And I also like the phrase churn and burn, because they are just very unlikely to come back. Lastly, the last number, and considering the first metric that we said, 43%, then it's not really a surprise that shoppers who search are converting 3 to 4 times more often than shoppers using other ways to navigate. I also hear 2 to 3 times more likely, but somewhere around there. And I think we're all in agreement that it's down to that they seem to have a stronger intent to complete the purchase than shoppers navigating via categories, who instead tend to be in a state where they are looking to be inspired.
Exactly, and I think you're exactly right. We see that conversion rate and the buying intent goes hand in hand. So search is important. And how do we make sure the experience is as good as possible? Can you elaborate?
Yeah,
further?
Absolutely. We do have some tips and tricks on that, and we'll stay on search for a bit. But to start off, one of the easiest things you can do is just to make the search box clearly visible, both on desktop and mobile. Make it big and centered, especially on mobile devices. And it's just so often that we see with merchants, especially on mobile, that they are hiding the search bar.
The magnifying glass.
Yeah, the magnifying glass, or even behind like the burger icon, the 3 lines, where you can find it there. So I would say don't do that. Make it visible, and also inform the shoppers what they can search for. Write in the search box that search for product names, attributes like categories or colors, maybe price intervals if your search can handle that. And when you do this, when you go from having it basically hidden to having it clearly visible, the general effect that we have seen with our merchants and our clients is that on mobile, it's especially good. Then we have seen that the uplift in orders through search are up 44%. So it's just a very easy way that might get you a really good boost.
And I think from our perspective, implementing a lot of e-commerce solutions and projects as a standard, it quite often actually is what you're saying. The search bar is not expanded to allow or invite users to search.
Right.
Perfect. And next bit.
Yeah, and next one, well, we name it use auto suggestions. I would describe it as the experience when you click on the search bar and all the way down to when you actually press enter. It's similar to the previous slide in terms that this experience is very often unexisting or very weak. If you click on the search bar, nothing happens. If you start to type something, you might get products, maybe only that. You only see much more content and filters, etc. when you press enter. I strongly suggest that you enrich this experience from the start, from when you click the search box. You can enrich it with showing the most popular searches right now, most popular products, maybe the latest product that you clicked on, the latest searches. Even better if you can make these things personalized. Then once you start writing in the search box or adding a search query, it's important to show products, categories, autocomplete suggestions, and merchants have, when doing this, going from basically nothing to this richer experience, the conversion rate on mobile and tablet was especially good, where we saw an increase with about 20%.
And another super important thing, if you're an omni-channel retailer, I bet that many searches that's gonna be about store locations, city names, and so on, because that's how I use search, at least. If I find something online, I go and research, and then I want to find my local store, I would like to type in where I can find it. So make sure to index that in the search results as well, and not just products.
Absolutely, I think that's a good point. And another thing that is also very often missed and not indexed and not being searchable is content, which takes us to the next slide, actually. There you go. So when I say content, I mean things like guides, blog posts, inspiration, things that will enrich the experience further and also to gain trust from the shoppers, because then you show that you know what you're selling, you know the area, you know the field. But it's actually also, and this is, I think, new for many, it's also a great opportunity to show information like return policies and buying conditions. Because it was a very recent study by UPS that showed that 68% of shoppers, they want to view the return policy before making a purchase. So by doing it like Glitter here, for example, making it visible and easily accessible for the shoppers in the search already, can definitely help them convert. And as we, just to go back a little bit on, people that search are more likely to convert than if you have this information already in the search, that will definitely be helpful. All right, and just leaving the search for a little bit, the next thing is on the home page, where we can talk about product recommendations. So most retailers have product recommendations on their home pages, but it's just too often not really relevant and up to date. It's just demanding to keep them relevant and up to date. You need to do a lot of manual work. Retailers that manage to keep the recommendations relevant, we've seen that generally increase the conversion from home pages by about 25%, and even more if you make them personal to the shoppers. Good strategies here to use could be most popular products, the newest products, maybe the latest products one viewed, and how to keep recommendations relevant. What we mean by that, or how you can do it, either you merchandise it, which will almost require that you do it every day, or you use a AI tool to do it for you. Also, one last thing, when you show recommendations, just make sure that the content is rich, not just an image and a name. Try to include things like price, if they're on sale, reviews, other attributes that might be helpful to your shoppers.
I actually remember when I was working as a category manager for a large retailer, we did exactly what you were saying. We merchandised our homepage 2-3 times a day. We actually remerged it. We sat in these war rooms. We looked at the stats, what items have been clicked, what have been sold. If items are not moving fast enough, we were kind of rearranging and trying out different things. But we were always doing this reactively. So we had to merchandise and then look at the analytics. And if sales were going down, we had to go into this war room and redo the process many times. So I really hear what you're saying, because this is true for many e-commerce teams out there, actually.
That's really interesting. Okay, so going back to the search a little bit. So according to Google, or Kathy Edwards, who is Vice President Engineering at Google, 1 in 10 search queries on Google are misspelled, actually.
Yeah, and I know where you're going with this, but is that really, how is it affecting the e-commerce?
Well, my thinking at least, my thinking at least is that if people make these mistakes on Google, I see no reason why they won't make the same kind of mistakes on your e-commerce store. Then what happens, when that happens and it results in irrelevant products or no products being shown even, you are very likely to lose that sale. So sometimes people just search fast and make mistakes, but other times, I'm not the perfect person when it comes to know how things are spelled. So I might think I know how a word is spelled and I expect results, but actually I'm misspelling it. So I think that's true for many people.
Yeah, and what can you do to cater for that?
Right, I think this is a good area where we can talk about something called NLP, stands for Natural Language Processing. And this is an automatic tool or a tool set that is used to automatically cope with things like misspellings, or if you, well, synonyms is another area here. Like if I'm going to a furniture store searching for sofas, the store might call it couches. They might name their product couch, but then an NLP is there to actually help you and automatically understand that sofas and couches are the same thing and deliver relevant results.
Kind of like Google does, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And one thing that I want to stress out, we know that we have listeners both from B2B industry as well as B2C, and I think, you know, it's going to be a lot of maybe more consumer-like examples and things shown on this thing, but we believe, you know, you bring your consumer-like experience into your professional life. So hopefully this experience can be as relevant for the B2B industry. What's your take on, you know, what kind of, you said that you search for brands, colors, and price range and so on, but how does that in a B2B context? Can you elaborate on what that means?
Yeah, of course, people misspell B2C in B2B stores and B2C stores. That's not a big difference, I think. But one clear difference for most stores, if you're B2B or B2C, is that on B2B stores you tend to search quite a lot for SKU numbers, for example. They can also be misspelled, so to speak, especially, you know, if you search for a SKU number in just a little bit the wrong format. Usually that can lead to other products showing up or no products showing up. So that is a way of misspelling that I think is hugely valuable for B2B stores to handle.
All right.
Yeah, then we have Afario Sweden. It's a Litium client. Just want to show how they are handling misspellings. So pretty heavily misspelled, but still showing relevant results.
Cool. Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah. Then actually Klevu did a really big survey globally. So we had a survey for the Nordics, one for UK, US, APAC, for example, where we looked at how search engines on e-commerce stores were coping with languages. So what we did there was, or what we found was that only 20% of the stores in the Nordics didn't cope with misspellings well. 80% did, which is a super good grade. 55% only in the US handled it in a good way. So good grade for Nordics, just be sure you're not one of these 20%.
Exactly.
If we take this to the next level with the language understanding, we can say that, you know, advanced natural language processing. And that is about handling longer and more complex search queries like black jacket in size medium. Then I would expect to see black jacket that have the size medium in stock, or leather sofas under 1,000 euros. I want to see leather sofas that cost less than 1,000 euros. That are, you know, not as favorable for the Nordics in terms of how well we handle it.
Is that yeah, okay. And it's interesting that these kind of searches happen on e-commerce solutions. Is that really true? Do they search that long?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So not as often as, you know, one or two word search queries. We've seen, we are doing a study right now, and what we're seeing is that about 18% of searches are 3 words or more. So people are searching like this, but it's not as common as the shorter search queries. But the most interesting finding so far is that in the study, we have seen that people that search 3 words or more convert at a lot higher rate than shoppers who search for only 1 or 2 words. So we can again talk about the intent of a shopper, and it seems likely that a shopper searching for black jacket under 100 euros have greater intent to buy a product than someone only searching for a black jacket.
Because they know that's what they want.
Yeah, exactly. They're more concrete. Also, we are seeing that these searches are more common in the UK and the US, these longer search queries. I think it's a maturity thing, but that only tells me that this is something that will be required by e-com or by Nordic e-com stores as well in the future. So one tip here, just ensure that you have a search that have NLP supported to handle when people make mistakes such as misspellings, but also to describe or also to handle when people describe for your search what it is that they're looking for.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, this was just a, I want to show Elon, you know, a longer, more complex search query still delivering relevant results. I thought that could be pretty interesting.
Okay, interesting. Cool.
This is just to build on that. So 55% of Nordic stores could not handle this at all. 50% it did basically the same, not well. Only 11% could actually handle these queries in a really good way.
Okay, so there's room for improvement in that regards, you say?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
This is a place where you can actually get an advantage over your competition.
And I think it's interesting where you say that you handle these more longer search queries, because it's down to the different kind of attributes and how your PIM data is structured. So if you have clean, good product information, that is also something that you could more easily then handle as these attributes.
Yeah.
So that's one key thing to also remember in this.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, so when you search for something, generate 0 results, perhaps, then we have search result pages. These can be good, these can be bad. So this is a bad one. We see it very often. Only a message saying no results found. When we go through, I'll show you 2 quick examples. One is Adidas. They're showing both a line saying why you might have, why you are receiving 0 results. They're also enriching the experience with popular categories, products, etc. We have Glitter also doing it in a really good way, showing popular products, personalized, most popular searches, etc. And when you enrich the experience like this, that's a good thing. But we don't want to get here. And if you have a good NLP installed compared to when you don't, we usually see a typical increase in e-commerce conversion from search with around 12%.
Cool.
Yeah, this was just a little bit of a fun example. A chocolate store only selling chocolate things, but when you search for chocolate, it actually shows 0 results because they don't really call their products that. So it's just,
I love this.
Yeah, it's a bit fun.
Actually, you mentioned about analytics before. I just want to quickly address on that. I mean, if you go into analytics and actually pull out the full list of 2022, what search queries have been made, you easily find, because Google Analytics tracks every single search query that that's ever been done, and you can actually go to the top ones that are misspelled. Just use it. Try it on your e-commerce store and see what kind of results you get from these misspells, because it's pretty interesting what people search for. So that's a great tip also.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. Now let's leave the search and on to browsing. So most platforms have some inbuilt standard listing options on categories like order products based on name, price, and best sellers if you're lucky. I think Litium has that, right?
They do, and most platform has these kind of ways of presenting items. It's somewhat static, like I mentioned before, working as a category manager, meaning that the same product listing is shown to all users. It's listed alphabetically or different.
Right. So the suggestion here would also be to look to personalize these lists so they become more optimized for every shopper and their unique interest. And typically, there's a pretty consistent 6% increase in average order values when personalization is enabled on the website. However, there are some things worth considering. Firstly, just ensure that you have a reset window so you don't make the personalization stick after big holidays, for example. After Halloween, I'm not interested in Halloween outfits anymore, am I? So when selecting how to personalize is the last thing. I would suggest to base it on behavior rather than doing a lot of profiles of your customers, as that gives every shopper more relevant results. It's not resource heavy at all. It happens automatically, and there are also no associated privacy concerns or risks. So that's the route I would probably take in most scenarios.
Yeah, and not only on your e-commerce store, but the kind of what happens is that you find that retargeting in social media and other channels, if you're not resetting based on these ads or holiday seasons, that could also follow you around. I know I bought a pair of cross-country skis for a Vasa race that I didn't attend, and then these skis came up in the different kind of channels that I was attending, even though I bought them quite a few weeks ago, actually. So,
the will was there.
So yeah.
Okay, so when on a category page, and this goes for search result pages as well, we often face that none or only a few options to filter on. So sometimes it's due to limitations, sometimes it's exactly how the merchant wants it to be, but very often it's just an effect of bad data that we're not able to find a lot of filter options. Is that something you see at Columbus as well, bad data?
Yeah, so I mentioned it briefly. You know, have good control of your product data is key. I remember one client had very unique names and nuances how their color garments was named. So instead of gray, they call it elephant gray, and they had many different shades of basic color that made it really hard to build easy facet structures and filters. So
right.
Yeah, that can happen.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So the tip here is to ensure that your shoppers have plenty of filter options on both the search result page and the category pages, and also make sure that they can filter on several things at the same time.
Yeah.
We call it multi-select at Klevu, at least. If you do this compared to not having filters, we have seen that a typical uplift in conversion rate in search is about 5%. All right, then we are at product pages. So displaying product recommendations. Also, this is something that most retailers are doing, but as often, and on category pages, not as often, but it can often make sense to have them there as well. However, we see that these recommendations often demand a lot of manual work or simply don't deliver very relevant suggestions. So I would suggest personally to make these recommendations automatic, both on product pages and category pages, and there are usually a lot of good automated strategies to choose between. So in solutions, like on product pages, it can be strategies like showing similar products or others that bought the product that you're now looking at, they also bought, then it becomes more of a cross-selling thing. On category pages, it might be good to show the most popular products on that category, or maybe showing the newest products within that category. Different strategies can make sense for different companies. But even better, if you can personalize these strategies, and normally we see this having a very good effect on average order value, especially.
And I remember doing this a lot as a category manager, doing this manual merchandising. But I see where you're getting with you could use smartness of tools. But when we speak to clients that use a potential AI-driven engine, they sometimes are afraid that the results that the engine will provide instead of these manual merchandising rules, that you're kind of out of control.
Yeah, we see that a lot. We hear that a lot from clients as well. So AI will do the heavy lifting for you and optimize faster and more precise than you will almost be able to do any time. But it's really important to keep the control, I would say. So if you, for example, want to boost products because they have a better margin or they are on campaign, you have your own brand, whatever the case might be, ensure that when you're using these AI tools to be able to control it yourself as way in an easy way.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. So on the final tips and trick slide, we have now come to the checkout.
Yeah. So the checkout page is a really good opportunity to upsell. So typically we see an average of around 70% increase in average order value when relevant recommendations are added. And again, ensure that they are automatic and relevant to the products in the cart, or another plan, more manual one, but could be fine as well. Pin a number of products that are cheap but often bought to add those extra small sales. It can make a big difference in the end. So I'm thinking like the food shops are doing, like ICA, Coop, for example, in the checkout they have gum, candy, in their physical store. So try to do something similar on your checkout. Last thing, Rolly did, a customer of Klevu did something cool when they selected an automatic recommendation, but they also added a rule ensuring that if the value of the cart is less than $85, the recommended product should not cost more than $50. So yeah, food for thought.
That's cool. That's cool. So a summary, we have walked through a lot of tips and tricks. This is kind of the full playbook at a glance. But some of these are more quicker to fix and some takes a bit longer. So if we move on to just very, very quickly walk through, we have picked out 6 proven tactics that you can start with that for sure will accelerate growth. So if we just quickly step through one by one.
Yeah, let's do that. So the first one, just make sure the whole search box is visible on mobile and desktop, and by doing so achieve around 44% increase in orders from mobile.
And that was super simple to do, just front end. simple. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Make sure your on-site search engine is able to process typos and natural language, and by doing so, achieve around 12% increase in e-commerce conversion from search.
So it means maybe bringing in these modern tools requires a little bit more work, but it's still quite simple to do.
Yeah, cool. Make sure that you offer filters on category and search result pages, and increase the e-commerce conversion by around 5%.
Yeah. And that's more to your product data. And then when you have product data in hand, then it's simple to do.
Absolutely. Number 4, display smart auto suggestions with rich content and persistent search terms, and achieve around 20% increase in e-commerce conversion from mobile.
Yeah, and that's just to do.
Yep. Put product recommendations on the homepage, resulting in around 25% increase in conversion from the homepage if they are relevant. Just emphasizing that.
Yeah.
And put them in the basket for a 77% increase in average order value.
Yep. And lastly,
add recently viewed products and display multiple types of product recommendations site-wide, including listings and detail pages, also resulting in around 7% increase in average order value.
So it's about, if we just summarize in a last slide, it's about, to have sustainable growth in converting the traffic. You just need to make sure that you do that in a good way, because you spend that much time getting people there, so you want them to actually find what they're looking for, convert, because that will overall increase your customer lifetime value.
Yeah, make them happy, and then the lifetime value will definitely go up.
Exactly. So that's all we have time for. I hope you found it useful. As we said, whether you're just starting out or you have an established store, we hope to expose some areas here for you. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Do we have any incoming questions?
Yes.
I know one over.
Yes, the only thing is that we already run over time, but I think we can do one question. And for those of you who can stay, let's do that. But thank you. A lot of good tips and tricks, and also room for improvement, I think, for a lot of us. But we have one question, and it's more about Klevu. Mattias, maybe you can just tell everybody very short, what is it that Klevu is doing? How do you help?
Right. Okay. We might not be as famous as Litium and Columbus in the Nordic yet, but Klevu is basically a Finnish company that for the last 10 years, we've been offering an AI-driven and personalized discovery suite consisting of 3 solutions. So on-site search, category merchandising, and product recommendations, just in a nutshell.
And how would you implement Klevu?
Well, like with most solutions in our industry, it can be implemented via either scripts, APIs. We are fully headless compatible, part of the Mac Alliance. I think it's only us and Algolia in our stage, which I'm very happy about. So yeah, we are. You can implement us in basically any way and to any platform.
Yeah. Super. And also just another short question. Of course, this is very much directed to B2C customers maybe, but do you also have B2B customers in your portfolio?
Yeah, absolutely. So both B2C and B2C would benefit from improving the product discovery, for sure. They're just a little bit different in the way people might be using search, how they browse, etc. But yeah, important.
Very good. And one specific question, and then I think really we have to close this up. But someone is writing that they're trying to build a business case for bringing more AI into their solution. What is the expected ROI of Klevu?